Okay, may I have your attention, please? Make sure all cell phones, electronic devices are turned off. If you must see your phone or contact your phone for a reason of emergency, step outside and answer it. If you have a conversation with your neighbor, please take it outside. Thank you very much.
And Berta, please keep your face maker.
Pacemaker too. You better leave your pacemaker on.
Take it outside.
I don't have any nightmares for this one, but under his
Did you forget it? Yeah, really.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Thursday, June the 12th, 7 p.m. Our invocation tonight will be by Fred Gonzalez.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, once again we thank you for all your blessings. May we always be mindful in appreciating them and realizing that we need to do our part and involve ourselves to make your provisions successful, such as what we're doing here tonight. We thank you for those who give of their time and effort freely. We ask that you guide us in these endeavors, particularly our chosen leaders, so that so the outcomes best benefit Floresville, our citizens and community. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
We have established a quorum. Councilwoman Castillo, Councilman Morales, Councilman Guerrero, and Councilman Nieto. At this time, everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, do we have any citizens' comments? Okay. Then we're going to open our public hearing at 7:03. This public hearing is to consider an ordinance amending the text of Chapter 153 of the Code of Ordinances to add a district to be titled Planned Development District and associated permitted uses and regulations. Do we have any citizens' comments? We'll take them at this time. Chris, did you want to say anything about this, or Henrietta?
Mayor, if I may, this is added to our existing zoning. It's a new component that you all had discussions on in reference to our riverbed and an agreement. And so this is one of the intricate parts we have to do to add to it. It would allow us to have a special zoning to allow us to do agreements, such as a subdivision, to go forward. Now, Chris Stewart has provided this to our planning. They reviewed this. They have approved this. They had a public hearing themselves, I believe just last week, and they are in conjunction in agreement that we put this forward and start adding what we need to have to our existing. It is a new definition of a zoning defined category, and this will allow us to do more timely developments for a PDD.
So again, at this time, I'll ask for any citizens' comments. If not, I will close the public hearing. Okay, the public hearing is closed at 7:04. open city council meeting on May 20th, 2014. I'm going to be asking for citizen comments after each one of these. So do we have any citizens' comments on the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes for Phelps' city council meeting on May 20th, 2014.
I have a motion by Councilman Guerrero, second by Councilman Morones. All in favor? All opposed? Abstained? Okay, motion carries 3-1. Next is consideration and action to approve the minutes for the special council meeting on May 20th. Any citizens' comments?
Make a motion to approve the 2B, the minutes for the special meeting on May 20th, 2014.
Okay, I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Morones, second by Councilman Guerrero. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 3-1. Next is consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes for regular council meeting on May the 20th.
Mayor, I have a question. Okay, one of the items on 4C.
Okay.
We approved the terms of the settlement and seconded by, well, I approved it and seconded by Guerrero, but I think that we left out payment contingent upon letter of agreement by EPOA.
That is correct.
Is that correct? Because that's what the minutes read, so we need to do a full sentence, a complete sentence on that.
Can we make sure that changes that in the record?
What is the contingent?
I don't remember exactly how it read, but it had to do with us getting a letter from the attorney before we approved paying. I think it was something that was pending. Daria? Can you get that taken care of?
Yes, ma'am, it's taken care of. You should have that in your packet, I think, today, Mayor.
Okay.
It's stated in the last agenda, and the colleges.
Okay, we'll have to make that change. We'll get it in. So can I get a motion?
So we have said that, I move that we accept the minutes for May the 20th, based to include the correction.
Okay. May I have a second?
That's second.
We have a motion by Councilman Castillo and a second by Councilman Morones to accept the minutes with the changes as mentioned. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, now we're going to go on to item 2D. Consideration and action to approve meeting minutes for special council meeting of May 22nd. Any citizens' comments at this time?
Mayor, there are several corrections to be made on that one.
Okay.
Starting out with the correct spelling of Councilman Eric Rodriguez. It's with a Rodriguez instead of an S. And on number 1, for the presentation and discussion, you quoted the charter states that the commission should be 15 residents of the city, not the committee. The charter states that the commission should be 15 citizens of the city. And we have, the minutes have the charter states that the committee should be 15.
Okay.
That is not a fact. For reference, look at page 34 of the charter. Then I would also like to make a correction on 2B. When the motion was made, there were 4 points that were made, and they're not all included. Point 1, to approve the creation of a charter review committee to create Floresville residency. And the deadline for the application needs to be corrected. It's July the 10th, not July the 7th. Did you get that, Margaret? I can get with Margaret later if she needs. Are those the only corrections?
Who's Margaret?
Margaret substituting for Monica. So having said that, Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes of meeting on May the 22nd as corrected.
Okay, I have a motion, may I have a second? Okay, second by Councilman Newton. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, now we're going to go on to presentation and discussion. First, we're going to be given a proclamation to Messias Methodist Church. Ms. Castillo will be reading the proclamation. And if the members that are here from the church, if they'll come up to the front, please.
Yes, and they want to take photos.
We love it.
Because this is very, very important to church. And with our 100th anniversary. You can take some photos if you want to. This is a proclamation proclaiming the 100th anniversary of the Messias United Methodist Church of Floresville, Texas. Whereas the Messias United Methodist Church of Floresville, Texas, originally known as Iglesia Evangelica Mexicana, began its fellowship services in Picoso, Texas. Then with a small group of evangelicals directed by Reverend Samuel Zook, the group was formally organized in 1914 as a Methodist church with its first pastor, Reverend Samuel Zook, serving the church until 1918. Whereas aside from relocating its services to Floresville and changing its name to the Messias Methodist Church, a major campaign to improve the church was initiated. The current property on Trail and Second was purchased and the church was relocated from its original location on Oak and Pecan Streets. Today, the original structure is still preserved under the current structure. Approximately 35 pastors have served the community and its membership since it was founded. Whereas today the church continues to serve the community under the name of the Messias United Methodist Church. Whereas our mission is to grow disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of Floresville and the world. Whereas our mission is accomplished by knowing, serving, and sharing Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Whereas the surrounding communities have benefited from programs administered through El Messias, such as the Susanna Wesley Kinder program ended in 1965, the Head Start program 1965 to 1988, initiated by volunteers and later funded by the federal government. Also instrumental in serving the WIC, that's the WIC program, Back to School Supply Drive, annual Thanksgiving food baskets, Toys for Children Drive, Sheriff's Senate Toys for Children, Christmas Party for Children, and many other initiatives. The most recent program assisting the community is a Wesley nurse assigned to El Messias through Wesley Nurse Health Ministries. Whereas El Messias is a viable and self-sustaining church through its membership of approximately 150 members. Whereas El Messias and its membership must continue promoting God's work through its disciplines of praying, giving, attending, serving, and witnessing as promised. Now therefore, in honor of the 100th anniversary of El Messias United Methodist Church, Diana Garza, Mayor of the City of Floresville, Texas, do hereby proclaim June 2014 as the official celebration of its 100th anniversary.
Tina, you'll want to come back here for a picture? Yeah.
And the proclamation will be redone on legal paper, and then it will be presented, undertaken to the church. There's your power. There's your. Oh, she wants
I'm going to jump to 4A, consideration and action to approve the proclamation of the SES. So I can have a motion?
Make a motion, is for 3A or what?
4A.
Okay, 4A. CNA to approve the proclamation of SES Church.
Okay, I have a motion, may I have a second? Second. Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Morone, second by Councilwoman Castillo, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you all very, very much for your time. Now we're going to go on to my favorite thing, employee appreciations. Chad Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. For this particular employee appreciation, I'm going to acquiesce to the Chief of Police. Chief?
Hey, Council Mayor, at this time, on behalf of the city of Floresville, I'd like to recognize Chad Clark for his 22 years of service and dedication and, of course, the service to the city of Floresville as a lieutenant. Chad, here's a plaque on behalf of the city of Floresville. And also,
All right.
and we have a certificate as well. Thank you.
Speech.
I'll make it very short, because I know those of you know.
We gotta get to this person.
I'd like to thank the mayor and council for this, I truly appreciate it. The city manager, I'd like to thank the entire city. It's been a pleasure working here for 22 years. I'd like to thank the community for allowing me to serve, and I'm going to cry, so forgive me. I'd really like to thank the police department. It's been my home, and I'm truly going to miss it. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you very much for everything you've done for us, and I can assure you, you're not that far away from us. We can still reach.
Hey, Chad, I was trying to remember how old I was when you used to run me out of Picos and I've been there 22 years, I was 16, 17. You're like, Chad, let us finish our chimichangas.
Danny swore me in 1989.
1999. So yeah, that's how it works.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to our employee of the months, and we're a little behind, but we're catching up. February, March, April, and May.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, we're going to let our HR, Margaret, make the presentations, and I'll take the pictures.
We have two, and I'm gonna go quick, because I know we want to get out to first. Our first for February employee of the month is on Jesse Lana. Our second employee of the month for March is Eli Flores. and he is not with us this evening. And James Story is the employee of the month for April, and he's enjoying some time with his family at the beach. So he's not with us.
And then if I may, their names will be added to a plaque that we have that's ongoing, and so we'll be having that in the hallway as we add their names to that for the employee of the month.
Now we're going to go on to item 3D. Alex, Mr. Levy, you got 1 minute.
Mayor, Council, Manager Turner, thank you for having me here tonight. As the Mayor said, my name is Kyle Dickey. I'm the General Manager of the Floresville Electric Light and Power System. With me is Mr. Steve Moffitt. He is our financial consultant with Schneider Engineering. Got offices in Bernie and College Station. He's been with Phelps as a consultant for several years, helping us with everything from power supply, financial planning, to rate management, and rate design. And so he'll be here to answer questions as well. If I recall correctly, you asked for a quick 2 or 3 minute presentation on the rate and cost of service study. And we have given each of you a handout that looks like this. It's a 5-page handout. It, I think, quickly gives a summary of what we talked about in the workshop from a couple of weeks ago. Gives a quick high-level overview of what we've done with the rate and cost of service study. So if you will, I'll walk you through this this handout, and that should take up our 3 minutes, and or however long you want. I don't want you to think I'm limiting 3 minutes. I just want to make sure I'm delivering what the council asks of me. So you'll see slide 2. It talks a little bit about the rate and cost of service study itself. There in the red banner, it says the Board of Trustees of Phelps commissioned this cost of service study back in October of last year. The last time a similar cost of service study was done was 25 years ago. Or actually 26 years ago in 1988, and the rate and tariff structures that we have in place now are quite outdated. They were great for the market, they were great for our customer base, they reflected the type of citizens, type of customers we had in the Phelps territory 26 years ago, but things have changed since then. The market has changed, the way we purchase electricity in Texas has changed, and the need for modernization and revision is here. You see the middle bar is in yellow. Numerous market and industry changes have occurred since the last rate studies I just mentioned. The biggest thing is generation supply in the state of Texas has moved from an oversupply situation in the 1990s, meaning we had more generation in the state than we had electric consumers. And then that followed through to the early 2000s, but by the end of the 2000s to now, you'll notice Texas is a state of shorthanded generation, as seen by the evidence of the rolling brownouts that we've had and the calls to conserve from the ERCOT and Public Utility Commission to do this. We're just in a situation where we cannot build power plants fast enough in Texas to keep up with the growth. So energy efficiency, conservation is what's been the focal point of our business over the last several years. And because of that, we need to develop a rate structure that stays in lockstep with the market in Texas. And then the green bar at the bottom of that page is Phelps rates in the market environment today. They reflect the way things looked in the 1990s. They don't look the way things are reflected in the 2010s. Moving on to page 3, talks a little bit about the proposed tariff changes and the customer impact that we'll have. The red bar across the top, it tells you the modernization of the rates will reflect the current environment. We're going to reduce the incentive to use more energy in a generation-constrained market. As we discussed in the workshop a couple of weeks ago, you'll notice we have what's called a declining block tier rate, and that the more electricity you use with Phelps right now, the cheaper your electricity gets. That was a very popular rate structure in the 80s. It is an unheard of rate structure today. We searched and looked throughout the state, we couldn't find another utility that was doing things that way. So the long story short is your first X number of kilowatt hours might cost you 8 cents a kilowatt hour. If you go beyond that, between 500 and 1,000 kilowatt hours might only cost you 7 cents. You go beyond that, it only costs you 6 cents. So quite honestly, the bigger users, the bigger homes, the inefficient homes that were using more electricity, were paying less for electricity than your small energy efficient homes that were built for conservation and money savings. The yellow bar says simplification of the rates to be easier to understand and customer friendly. Right now, if you were to call in and talk to our customer service reps and ask them, how did you come about this rate that you billed me here, and especially if you're a commercial customer, it is a long, complicated, cumbersome process. And we're billing many of our customers now on what we call a demand charge, but we're doing it with meters in place that aren't equipped to measure demand charge. So we are having to calculate and estimate a customer's demand and bill them off of that, which is certainly, I've talked before about it's atypical and how the declining block rates that we had. It's even more atypical to have an estimated demand charge based on calculations. But that's something that Phelps has been doing for 25 years. And again, there's not another utility in the state that's doing things that way. And then, of course, all of this, we're hoping to put the customers in the right rate class. As it stands now, all of our commercial customers are mostly lumped into one rate class, whether you're a large commercial customer like the Walmart Supercenter or Lissy and Eckel Grain Elevator, or if you're a small commercial customer like the Scoops restaurant next door, they're billed at the same rates. And as we discussed in the workshop, it's hardly fair for customers at that level to be billed at the same rate. It obviously costs the utility more to serve the hospital or McCoy's or Lissy and Eckel than it does to serve Scoops or your neighborhood shaved ice stand or whatever else. And the green bar talks about the revisions of the rates that are preparing us for the future. We, as you're aware, we signed a new power supply agreement with City Public Service out of San Antonio that will take effect on January 1st of 2016. And it seems like a long way off, but realistically that's only a year and a half from now. So we want a rate structure that will reflect a similar situation to how we're going to be billed from CPS Energy. Currently, we're billed by a very complicated, convoluted system from CPS Energy that is built on demand peaks in the summer and different rates throughout the year. We've simplified that contract with CPS Energy where we will be billed on a flat rate from our power supplier. We need our distribution rates and our retail rates to reflect that as well. And of course, we put these rates in place to reflect the potential oil and gas loads connected to the system. And we're doing this to protect the customers from market price implications, right? One of the biggest complaints we get right now is how our rates can fluctuate from month to month. And in the summertime, we have the highest rates because the cost from CPS Energy is getting higher on top of the time of the year when customers are using more because of the hot weather. This new rates will create a buffer against that so they can be more levelized, more flat, more consistent month to month. If you look at slides 4 and 5, it's just a simple graph to let you know. We put this together at the council's request to show you what our current rate would be for a typical customer versus the new proposed rate. And looking at slide 4, you'll see the residential customers currently for 1,000 kilowatt hours. That's just an average run-of-the-mill residential customer. Right now, would pay about $100.36 for that bill. Under the new rate, residential customers would pay $99.45. So you can see that's about roughly a 1% decrease in cost for your average residential customer. Your all-electric customers, however, are going to see a little bit of an impact. Right now, the all-electric customer for 1,000 kilowatt hours would pay about $94.27. Under the new rate, they pay the same $99.45 that the regular residential customers would pay. And I'll let you look through this the rest of the way. By breaking things down into the different commercial categories of small, medium, large, and industrial, we'll be able to better quantify and accurately bill our commercial customers based on the size of load they have, based on the requirements that we have to serve those customers. And then you'll notice we have the school rate there. The school rate is going away for many reasons, as we discussed in the workshop, is that many of our school customers were not on the school rate. Some were in the commercial class, some were even in the residential class, some were on the school rate. And so we analyzed all the school accounts, and we found that they would be overall better off and more accurately billed if we treated them like a commercial customer, like we did the other commercial customers. And then you see on the far right, the ORL, that stands for Outdoor Recreational Lighting. We used to call this ballpark lighting. But what was happening is there were many customers that were not ballparks that were getting on this rate, rodeo arenas and regular park lighting, things that weren't really ballparks. We call it outdoor recreational lighting. And you see this is an area where currently the average outdoor recreational lighting would pay about $113 a month on average. Under the new rate, they're going to go up to about $159. Those are customers that are very expensive to serve from the felt side of things, but then quite honestly don't have a lot of rate of return because of low usage. And so for them, in order to pay their fair share, their rate is going to need to go up by a little bit. On the last slide, slide 5, it's the same information that was taken from the previous slide, but instead of doing it in total dollars that would be cost the customer, we broke it down by cost per kilowatt hour. So it just took the numbers that we saw on the previous slide, averaged it out, or divided it out based on the average kilowatt hour consumption. And you can see what the average cost per kilowatt hour will be for each particular rate class. And Mayor, I know I went through that very quickly. If there's any, I don't know if this is the time to take questions or if we take them later in the meeting, but that's a very quick 4 or 5 page summary of what we talked about in the workshop a couple of weeks ago.
Councilman, do you have any questions? Do we know how many industrial customers?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, we have 7 industrial customers that are that would qualify for the industrial rate. That could change from month to month or year to year based on consumption and new customers moving in.
Based on the kilowatt hours, right? The usage?
Not on the kilowatt hours, it will be based on your kilowatt demand. Under commercial customers, there's 2 ways to bill the customers. One is the kilowatt hour consumption. That's how you're billed at your house, total amount of electricity you used from the last meter reading to the current meter reading. The second component is kilowatt demand. That is the peak amount of electricity a commercial customer uses at any one given point during the month. Because the way that we have to construct our lines and transformers and things of nature, we have to construct them in order to be able to handle that one peak a commercial customer might hit throughout the month. Even if they only hit it for 5 minutes and one time a month, if we don't have the capacity and the transformer size in place, we'll have a failure and an outage.
And that's the way all the classes are,
All the commercial classes.
Commercial
Yes,
classes.
ma'am.
and the
We,
residential?
residential is not billed on a demand charge. No, ma'am. Just strictly a kilowatt hour consumption charge.
Thank you.
Mr. Dickey, during the workshop, did you say we're going to do away with the all-electric?
We are, but we put that on there for comparative purposes so you can see what an all-electric customer pays now versus what they are going to pay. If you'll notice under the proposed category for residential and all-electric, the proposed number is the same because the current residential and the current all-electric will be folded into one category. But we just put it on there for illustrative purposes so you can see that not all residential customers will be affected the same by this rate change.
So currently, what percentage is on all-electric versus residential?
I'm sorry.
What percent currently is on all-electric versus the regular residential?
We are very close to 50-50 that are on all electric, of our residential customers that are on all electric versus that are on what we call LA, lights and appliances rate. So we, out of our roughly 15,000 customers, very close to 12,000 customers are in the residential category. And out of that, just over 6,000 are on the all-electric, just under 6,000 are on the regular residential rate. So to answer your question, roughly half of our residential customers are on that rate.
Okay, so then 50% of the residents are going to see a 1% decrease in their bill, but then 50% are going to see a 5% increase?
Yes. Yes. And if you'll recall from the workshop, this new rate structure reflects an overall increase of the system of a 3% rate increase. And this goes along with the Phelps financial plan that we've had established for many years. And it is doing this ahead of a bond issuance and debt that the system will be taking on later this year. And this is Mr. Nato, this is a typical procedure that Phelps has gone through for the last several years, is that we ask for a rate increase to offset the capital expenditures that we have. We only come to you once every 3 years for this. This is not a rate increase we have every year. And the plan calls for us to borrow $11.5 million this year, and that's based on this rate increase. Now, the council, if it's the will of the council to make a change to what's proposed, and we'll just have to adjust our financial plan and not borrow as much money as we feel we need at this point. One thing I do want to stress that wasn't in these slides is that what we found that in our current rate structure is that for many years, especially since the market has changed, our residential and small commercial customers were subsidizing our large commercial customers. Is that we found that our medium to large industrial customers were not paying their fair share of the electric rates on the system. And to make up for that, what was happening is our residential customers were bearing the brunt of that makeup. And so this rate structure more accurately puts the right cost of service on the right rate class.
I have a question, if you don't mind. Can I ask a question now?
Can we wait
I don't know
till
what
we get to the other part where you can
Well,
answer?
it has to do with something he said just right now. What was the reason for the lower rate on the all-electric customer? You had a lower
Historically? You mean historically?
Yeah, well, up to this point.
Well, and that goes back to the question he asked is what was the reasoning for Phelps having an all-electric rate discount
Yeah.
up to this point? That, remember the rate and cost of service study was last done in 1988, and that was a time when we had excess generation, excess capacity in the state. Many utilities put an all-electric rate out there as an incentive for new homes being built, to build them all electric with no gas appliances so they could sell more of the electricity that was being generated in the state versus having what they call stranded generation or stranded capital. So there were many utilities that put an incentive in there to use more electricity so the power plants weren't sitting idle or generating electricity we don't need. Fast forward 20 years later, we don't have excess generation, we don't have excess capacity, so there's really not an incentive for us to have people use more electricity. We're going just the opposite. We're trying to give people incentive to conserve.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to jump again. I'm going to jump over to 4B, consideration and action to approve the proposed rate tariff ordinance for Phelps. Did you have something to say?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this item. We just received these rates comparisons today, so we, I guess, take a better look at them. And then also we could come up with different scenarios if it's not the full 3% on what, I guess, 1.5%, 2% would be, what 1% would be, and we can kind of, go from there.
We have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion to table by Councilman Nieto, second by Councilman Morones. Would you be able to provide that for us so we can put you on the next agenda?
I believe so. But, Mayor, before I commit to the next meeting, I check with our consultant, make sure our schedules are
Yeah.
good.
Or you could just call back and
Okay.
schedule it with Henry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to item 3B, Drury Lines.
Thank you for taking the time to let me speak here. And I know we all have meetings to go to, but a lot, I won't talk for too long. My name is David Druitt. I'm the founder and owner of Druitt Signs, for website design, development, hosting, online promotion firm. And And so I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about my company, what kind of services we have been providing to the city over the past 9 years, and hopefully convince you that we're the best firm to continue providing services to the city. I know you guys are considering a number of different proposals, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on what my company's strengths are and what our strategies and recommendations would be moving forward. I live and work in San Antonio. I have a wife, a 2-year-old. He's really good at saying go Spurs go. I grew up in Floresville and started my business in Floresville. I have a lot of clients in the area. In fact, the Floresville Chamber of Commerce was the very second client that I ever had right back in 2000. So like I mentioned earlier, my company specializes in a wide range of services, not only design and programming of websites, but also hosting, email providing, online marketing. We've done a lot of different stuff for various Fortune 500 companies, small mom and pop businesses, stuff, really simple websites, integration with eBay and all sorts of e-commerce and database APIs. So there's a wide range of things that we can offer. And I think one of the key advantages that my company offers is just the ability to get a lot of those services, basically all your web-related services from one source rather than having to talk to one person about design, one person about marketing, another person for hosting the website, and so on and so forth. Like I said, it's been my privilege to provide web services for the city for the past 9 years. Back in 2005, my company started providing hosting and maintenance and document uploading for the city. And then in 2009, we went through a major site redesign and completely restructured and redesigned the entire site to what you see now. So the current design is roughly 5 years old. Yes, we've made many updates and created new pages, added new content, obviously added lots of meeting agenda documents. But I think you'll find if you talk to anyone I've worked with that my company has a track record of reliability, very responsive, good customer service. You can talk to Monica, Margaret, Tommy, Cindy. I'd encourage you to ask them about the relationship that I've had over the years. I also have a lot of different clients in the area that I've done work for. FEDC, the City of Pleasanton. I'll come back to that in a minute. Wilson County News, Livonia News, Pat Brown Realtors, a number of Eagle Ford companies we've done work for, or recently redesigned the Bear County Flood Control website. They've worked for the Spurs charitable organization, Silver and Black Give Back. I have over 100 different clients in 40 different states. So there's we have a track record. I've been in business for quite some time. Our approach is more of a custom and unique approach. We want to best meet the needs of our clients. And so we start out by examining the needs of the city, for example, and determining what kind of structure, what kind of applications, what kind of setup would best meet the city's needs, rather than bringing in one of our template-driven sites and saying, okay, here, let's see if we can fit the city's content into this template. So we really take a custom and unique approach, and what I tell most of my clients is, we can do pretty much anything you want to do. If you want to add this new feature, add this new functionality, not a problem. We can do it. One of the downsides to the template-driven or the out-of-the-box content management system approach is that you're a little bit locked into that system. You're a little bit locked into the way that it's been programmed and the way that it's been set up. There's a couple different examples I can offer with the Wilson County News. I started working with Wilson County News about 9 years ago, and they were using one of those template-driven content management systems, and it just was not meeting all of their needs. They were there was enough customization that they needed to do, and their needs were unique enough that the content management system just wasn't flexible enough to meet their needs. And so every time they wanted to do something, they had to go through all these steps and then eventually learn, okay, no, we can't do that, or you'll have to wait till the next software upgrade, so on and so forth.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What are the details and solutions proposals that you're making here, like the city launch page?
Sure, yeah. Do you want me to jump right into that? I will. So Ms. Turner asked me, mentioned a few needs.
What are we currently on, I guess, on this detailed solutions page?
No, we're really right. Everything on the detail and solutions page would be new or additional services, upgrades, updates. So none of this is, absolutely necessary to keep your current website up and running. Most of these details and solutions were requested by Ms. Turner. Some of them are ideas that I had, so I just outlined, and you guys all have a copy of that web services proposal, correct?
On these proposals, Ms. Turner, what were you texting me?
I'm sorry?
I was asking if you were texting. No, okay. No. What is similar to the one that proposal we got before, all the ones that David's put on?
Mostly the appearance of it and how we want it to be able to be more interactive. One of the things that we did talk about is anytime we want to upload or put something on the agenda, we email it to him, and then we put it on, of course, it has a fee. We need to be able to do that ourselves, to be able to upload and change things to, and it's a program that he can write. It does have a cost, but long term it'll save us in that. The appearance, and also we talked about the writing that I want to be able to see between us, EDC, and other entities, and be able to click back and forth and to link. Some of the capacity is there, but you have to drill down, and so it'd be a redesign of the website, similar to the proposal that you had before you.
So on this details and solutions page that he's provided us, does any of that meet what you're asking there, or?
Yes, it does. It will address some of the issues that we have in reference to appearance, and also frequently asked questions and easier ways to look at the homepage and how we can maneuver, even incorporating the historical courthouse. I believe there was appearance we want to be able to do that. We want to definitely champion our courthouse as part of our logo, interacting with that, and I think David and I had a very long conversation about this for that.
Yes, and I know whenever we talk about website design, marketing, cost is always an issue. If you'll look at the bottom of, let's see, it's the top of page 3 of that web services proposal, automated upload system for meeting agendas, public notices, etc. So as Ms. Turner mentioned, right now, whenever a agenda needs to be posted to the website, the city secretary usually contacts me. I post it to the website. I charge for my time, so that that adds up over the course of the year. Right now, you guys are spending roughly in the neighborhood of $5,000 a year just uploading fairly standard documents. So if you look at the top of page 3 here, the automated upload system, that would pay for itself in roughly 1 year, and then you'd have $5,000 in savings every year moving forward from there that you could use to add additional features, additional functionality. So I mean, there's a good way. I know some of your other proposals have talked about using the motel tax. I really don't know that there's a need to just dig into and start spending tens of thousands or even 6 figures per year. I mean, if you're looking to spend money, I can help you out too. But I mean, there's some serious cost savings that we can achieve right there. That would, I know the budget you have right now for web design development is $10,000 annually. So $5,000 cost savings essentially doubles what you're able to.
So you're saying that's $4,500 to $5,400, I guess, the first year, and then after that, there's no cost?
Yeah, that's a one-time charge. Once that's in place, there's no ongoing fee for that. So the cost savings will continue to accrue after that.
The other thing, because we're always on our cell phones, was an app. That was one thing that we had, and I know you're very involved with your phone, and I don't know how you survived the last 2 days without your phone, but one of the things is actually an app, and we talked about that, and Mr. Durrell has a recommendation he could do for a city app. I know the mayor talks about that as well, as people are trying to go and run a virtual tour, those kind of things, what we talked about adding to our website.
Yeah, we recently designed an app for the Wilson County News, both on Android and iPhone, so if you haven't checked that out, you definitely should, it's free. And we could definitely do something similar for the city as well. Really, we can meet any website services needs that you have, and a lot of times people think, oh, if it's custom, if it's unique, it's going to be more expensive. Not necessarily, and a lot of times you might have a somewhat significant upfront cost, but then after that, there's no additional cost, and you get to use that software in perpetuity. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have about these specific elements, either now or later.
I think at this point you have enough information to compare on the other proposal we got, or?
Yes, with this, we have enough to compare, and then we can come back and reference the price comparison, what we have in the budget, and with recommendation to you, but I want him to have an opportunity to present, since he's currently hosting our website.
Appreciate your time, and it would be an opportunity to continue to serve the city. If you guys have any questions now or after, feel free to contact me if you have any conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
Well, we tried to turn up the system, so, I'm sorry, Councilman, can you hear me better? No, I just want to make sure that everybody, because we turned it up and we tried to play around with it a little bit today.